and welcome to my channel, and I am Stephanie. The footage you are about to see, I debated with for a couple days, and the reason I am doing this sort of intro right now is because I decided that I did not want to edit any of the video except for the beginning of it and the end of it to clean it up. What you're going to see is my reactionary thoughts and feelings and ramblings about Joe the Great's video on Is Booktube Unfair to Booktubers? I believe that's what the title of her video is. So here's my reactions, and hopefully you guys stay and enjoy. Comment down below, start the conversation. That's what it's supposed to do with this video, is to start a conversation. I know I say in the video that I'm probably gonna lose some subscribers, what have you. I understand it. We can still be friends even though we disagree and have different viewpoints. So just keep that in mind while you watch my video. Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm Stephanie, as you guys know. And normally I don't do these type of videos. I mean, every once in a while I will. But I figured I'd sit down, have a glass of wine, and talk about a video that I saw online the other day. So the video comes from Joe the Great, and the topic is Booktube can be unfair to booktubers. The reaction video. As I said, this is going to be a reaction video to Joe's video. I actually have done another reaction video to one of her other ones, which was, does Booktube really need more diversity? And that was actually a reaction video to something else, but I placed a diversity genre or generational sort of video up in November of 2017, and I'll link that up above so you guys can go take a look at that. But those are some of my thoughts about the craziness here of Booktube, and here are some more of my thoughts on that. In Joe's video, Booktube can be unfair to booktubers, I think she had it spot on. She had it spot on. Some of the main things that she brought up was that, you know, knowing how to clickbait your titles and your thumbnails and things like that, as well as what sponsors are actually looking for. I'm going to give myself until I finish this for this video, so I'm not sitting here long-winded talking about all kinds of craziness. So I'm going to be drinking through this because I don't want this to be a very long video at all. And I don't want to do a whole bunch of editing either. One of the things she talked about was that Booktube it's diverse in if you decide to go out and look for someone that does not look like you in the Booktube universe. Now, with that being said, I will say that if you are white, female, and you talk about YA books or SFF, science fiction and fantasy books, you are Booktube gold. Now, I know saying this probably is going to make me lose those handfuls of people that I can't seem to keep my 1,000K subscribers. So I appreciate you if you do stay and you listen to me talk about this. But for those that would unsubscribe to my channel just because I'm voicing my opinion, I kind of think shame on you. So I say that white, female, young adult, science fiction, fantasy books, right? As Booktube gold standard. And I can say that because I have been on Booktube since July of 2015. And I just in May of 2018 hit 1,000 subscribers. I constantly see people start their channel and 6 months from when they started have over 1,000 subscribers. Now, I know it's probably because I am a very niche channel. I read romance. I read adult romance. And I talk about adult romance books. And not everyone loves romance. I get that. But would it surprise you to know that I have read over 900 books? And I've been reading heavily since 2012. So I'm pretty new to the scene. Pretty new, and found that romance was my genre of things to, you know, read and really get into. Now, you might be saying, oh, romance is all the same, right? I would beg to differ. Oh my goodness. The indie authors that I read are superb at changing up those normal tropes of boy meets girl and boy-girl falls in love. I mean, I've read male-male books, I've read polyamorous books, I've read female-female books, I have read young adult romance, I've read contemporary romance, I've read historical romance, and I'm just loving it because not all romance has to end with a happy ending. Although Romance Writers of America say that that is what is supposed to happen, the indie writers that I read allow their characters to tell them where they're going to go. So you don't always have to have the marriage and the coupling and the babies and the happily ever after. You could have a romance where the female decides that she wants to be independent and she needs to step away from that guy, and that is how they live in their happily ever after because she wants her independence. So you may say, well, maybe it's about consistency. Well, last year, I put up a whole bunch of videos. I was taking the advice of those other big booktubers and big YouTubers and being consistent, giving 3 and 4 videos a week and really working my butt off, right? But that falls back to, I just hit 1,000 subscribers here in May of 2018. But I've been on Booktube since 2015. So I have released 610 videos altogether as I'm recording this. 610 videos that you guys can go watch of me talking about indie author books. There are some mainstream books, but I can guarantee you that it's not about the same book over and over and over again. I have 900 plus books to talk about that you guys may learn and find a new author that you like. And I haven't been sponsored for any videos. I barely scratched the surface of getting authors to provide me with an arc for a review. Barely. Because so many of the people that read my genre, they're not into the Booktube universe. So that brings me into another sort of, I guess, forum of discussion, in that it is a young generation that is watching Booktube. So I find that a lot of the generation that I'm talking about, which I talked about in that generational video, is very much about being sheep. it's crazy. It is crazy. And I have a kid, and I hope that he finds his own mind and can follow himself and do what he feels is good and be kind and not put a cap on what he can and can't do. But that is a big thing here on Booktube, is that there are a lot of followers, and I'm guilty of it. I'm very guilty of it. In the description box down there, I will put a list of Black booktubers that I watch. And you will find that I subscribe to quite a few of that Booktube Gold category. White female, talking about YA and SFFF. But at the same time, these Black booktubers down in the description box that I really enjoy as well and subscribe to, they talk about other things. They have opened my mind to different genres of books, different categories of books, different challenges in my reading goals. Blackout 2018, yes, very much so. And these women also don't necessarily have the big counts in numbers, because once again, they don't fall into that category of white, female, YA, science fiction, fantasy. Why is that? I pose that question to you guys. Why is that? Let's discuss this down in the comments, because I know there should be comments. And this should be like an open conversation in the Booktube community. Surprisingly, I don't necessarily have that whole thought, opinion, or thought process that we need to be diversified. I have said this on other social platforms, that why do you have to necessarily see a color in anything, right? So that's a big controversy or a big thing going on. Why is it Black Lives Matter? Why can't it just be all people that matter? And why is it that we have to revert ourselves, speaking of as a Black female, why do we have to revert ourselves back to having someone justify us as good? I don't understand that. Never did understand that. I have a mixed race child in which I, in this day and age, will now have to have the talk with him because he's caramel colored. He takes more off of my coloring. But at the same time, with that talk, it should be common sense talk as well. So many cases that are placed in the news about supposed racial injustice when it comes to police and the Black community can totally be solved by the person doing what they're asked. If you follow the laws, if you follow the instructions of those that have been sworn to office to uphold laws, you shouldn't have any problems. There's a case in the news right now about a Yale student that fell asleep in the common area of the dorms. African-American student, white student comes up, tells the Black student that they're not allowed to sleep in, or asked something like, why are you here? Things like that. You don't belong here. If you call the police are bound to respond to that situation. In turn, from what I understand about the situation, the black student starts to question the police officers. First mistake, just identify yourself. If they ask you to identify yourself, identify yourself. And then if it goes down from there, then, you know, let's watch the video, because everything's on video these days, right? But from my knowledge of the case, the black student gives a little tiff in the beginning, but ultimately is like, yo, I stay in this dorm, and, you know, the police officers are like, okay, by the way, there's no sleeping in the common areas. Please go to your room and, you know, move on about your business. But did that white student get checked? Yeah, I think she needs to get checked, because she's the one. Or he or I can't remember if it was a girl or a boy. But that student is the one that needs to get checked. That there's a right and a wrong way to address that situation. Just like a lot of my feelings for the book, The Hate You Give. I talk about it a lot on my channel, and just briefly, I don't like the book. I think it sets a bad precedent, and I don't understand how people can find it so inspirational and so relevant to today's society and how our kids should speak. Ugh. There are so many things wrong with that book. So many parts of it are unbalanced and just don't make any sense. Just, oof. And I understand that the author may have been taking from her experiences in her life and placing them in the book. I get that. Okay. But you're also giving off this picture that all black females in that similar situation, living in a lower standard housing area, going to a upper class, middle class sort of school, this is how you're gonna, you know, this is what you're going through. I'm here to tell you that it's not always like that. And that's what offends me the most about that book. I grew up in a middle class neighborhood that bordered on having their issues. There was one street that you were just like, you don't go down that street because that's where the gangbangers live. That's where the drug dealers live. In my neighborhood. I went to a predominantly white school when I went there. Now it definitely, the social status has flipped from my understanding. But it has been, like 20 years since I was in high school. So the dynamics have changed in that high school. But when I went, it was predominantly white. But I didn't feel any of that supposed racism and prejudice and things like that. I dated white guys in high school. I dated white guys once I got out of high school. When I joined the military, I dated white men. That was my preference, my standard. I didn't feel the prejudice and the discrimination until I exited the military and I joined the government workforce. And my eyes were opened. And I was like, what? I've been in the workforce for 10 years and this the shit that I have to come into? Yeah, didn't understand it whatsoever. Craziness. And now I've been out for almost 10 years now. I've been out of the military for almost 10 years. And it's just crazy. It's so crazy how the world changed, how social thoughts change. And there's only one way to get back to it is for us to be colorblind. Truly. In my opinion, we're all human. And just because my skin color is a little darker than yours, or I'm a little lighter than yours, doesn't mean that my insides, my thought pattern, my education level my experiences are any different than yours. You may be surprised. You may be very surprised. As a matter of fact, people are mainly surprised when I do a telephone interview and they speak to me, and then I walk in for my first day and they're like, that's the woman we hired? That's not what she sounded like on the phone? Yeah. So, don't let the name fool you. Don't let the color of my skin, don't let my voice fool you, because my resume will speak for itself and it will fool you. And I've gotten completely off topic, but that is my reactionary video. This is my reactionary video to Booktube can definitely be unfair to Booktubers. And we do it to ourselves. We do it to ourselves. What are your thoughts? Leave them down in the comments. I'll miss you if you drop me because you don't like my thoughts or opinions. But here's to you guys. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Also, there is a feedback form down in the description box so you guys can help me improve my channel. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys later.